here. We have been learning, or you got a packet. Let me see if I can find it here. So right now I'm in Google Classroom, and I'm in a Principles of Biomedical Science class for period 1, but it should look about the same for period 6 as well. And I want to show you some of the things that I added. So in the About Resources section, I added some presentations last night. And so it says Unit 3 presentations. I should change the name to say like Unit 3 sickle cell, but Unit 3 presentations. And so there's 4 presentations here. Some are kind of what we would have actually been doing in class, but I'll be focusing on this presentation here, which is the overall review. But before I do that, I want to show you the assignment that I posted before. So when you left a couple weeks ago, you got a take-home quiz for the sickle cell unit. And this was the Unit 3 test, and I gave you the overall review. So I'll go over the review a bit today, and then I'm gonna go over our new assignment, which is the DNA to protein assignment and lab exchange. And I'll go over how to use lab exchange again. I'll check your questions in a bit. I can't see the chat right now. I just wanted to let you know, but I'll check the questions as soon as I'm done sharing the screen. Okay, so just want to give you some background. So in this Unit 3 review, so basically what we find is that not only did Anna Garcia have type 1 diabetes, Anna Garcia also had sickle cell anemia. And I know you guys are like, she is super sick, and yes, she is. She has a lot happening in her body. So she also had sickle cell anemia, and so we'll be learning about sickle cell anemia. I'm pretty sure a lot of you studied it in order to do the take-home test, but I haven't graded that because I wanted to give you guys some time to learn from myself and to be able to ask questions before you submit it. So what we would have done in class is we would have done an experiment about blood. We would have not used real blood, but an experiment about blood and its components. And so when you take blood or you see blood, it just looks like this red fluid. But blood actually has like tons of different components in them, and we'll just talk about a few. Let me go to blood and I'll go back to sickle cell disease. So blood has 4 main parts. Here you can see that blood has plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. I want to have a little annotate. And then also you will see here that this is plasma. So plasma is just your liquid portion of your blood. I want to annotate. There we go. Okay, so plasma is a liquid portion of the blood. So when you take blood and you centrifuge it, remember a centrifuge is something that spins really, really fast. And so it takes heavy things, and heavy things go down to the bottom, and then light things are at the top. So with blood, what happens when you centrifuge it is that you get this plasma stuff here at the top. But then you get all of the red blood cells and platelets and leukocytes, which are white blood cells. You get those. Oh, this moves at the same time. That is not what I wanted. Okay, let me erase that. I'm going to use the other one. Okay. And you get your red blood cells, which are called erythrocytes, and you get your white blood cells, and you get your platelets in this bottom part here. And then you have water. So red blood cells, they carry oxygen, and they carry oxygen by this protein hemoglobin, which is going to be very, very important coming up. And then let's move on to white blood cells. White blood cells are especially important right now as the coronavirus is a world pandemic, and they are responsible for fighting off viruses and bacteria and fungi, any invaders in our body. And then we have platelets, which are the small cells that help clean the blood vessels, and they help with clotting. So let's go back up to sickle cell anemia, which is what Anna Garcia has. So sickle cell is inherited and affects like a great amount of Americans, but it's more prevalent in people who are from African descent, Mediterranean descent, and Middle Eastern descent. And that'll be important later on. We'll talk about why people from those regions are mostly affected with sickle cell. So here we have a healthy red blood cell, and it's round. It kind of looks like a donut, but it's not a real donut because it doesn't have a hole, but it looks kind of like a donut, and it's able to hold lots of oxygen because of hemoglobin. But in a sickled red blood cell, the red blood cell takes on this real weird shape like a sickle or like a crescent moon. And so the sickle cells are larger, they can't carry as much oxygen, and because of their shape, they get stuck in the blood vessels. So Anna has sickle cell anemia. She has that issue here. So most of her blood cells look like this rather than this. She doesn't really have many blood cells at all that look like that because of hemoglobin. And hemoglobin, remember, is the protein that carries oxygen, and her hemoglobin does this. Instead of hanging out in like nice little groups of 4 like this, they get stuck together because she has a mutation in her DNA. And that's what I really want to focus on. That's the most important thing. So I'm going to stop here for that part of the lesson, and I want you guys to see how to sign into Lab Exchange. And if you can, if you're on a computer, I love if you open a tab to try to sign into Lab Exchange. So I'm going to open a new tab here, if this will move out the way. There we go. All right, so in Lab Exchange, remember, this is in week 11. Right here, this is the assignment. It says go to Lab Exchange to complete this Lab Exchange pathway along with this assignments. And be sure to take notes to help you with upcoming assessments on DNA, RNA, proteins, and genetic engineering. So if you click on that link, it'll open Lab Exchange. And we're going here because, as I just mentioned, just one little change in her DNA has caused her red blood cells to look like this. And this shape of red blood cells is going to cause tons of issues in her body. So we're going to learn about how DNA affects proteins and what that actually means for our bodies. And that is one of the most important things in biology when it comes to genetics, is understanding how DNA affects proteins. So when you sign into Lab Exchange, this is the home page here. I am going to go over here to Browse, and I'll choose Dashboard. And then when I choose Dashboard, I will go to Classes. So I think for you all, you should only have this one class. I have 3, since I have 3 different classes using Lab Exchange, but I'm just going to open period 1. And I think period 6, you actually need this class code. So if you're in period 6, I think like Jasmine, you need this class code to sign in, and the class code is 21A812 for period 6. So that's 21A812. And then the class code for period 1, if you have never signed in, is 92CBD3. Again, that's 92CBD3. So I'm going to sign in to period 1. And you should see only this assignment. You shouldn't see this one I have here, but you should only see this assignment where it says From DNA to Proteins, an Introduction to Genetic Engineering, the process. When you open it, I'll wait for it to open. Someone's trying to sign in. Okay. So when you open it, you'll see this long list of activities that I have for you to do. And these are really great learning activities to truly understand what we're talking about when we're talking about DNA and proteins, because we're talking about very, very small things. And it's really hard to imagine. And so I've given you lots of different simulations so that you can really understand what we're talking about when I'm talking about mutations and how that affects proteins and how proteins are doing things in your body. So what you do is click on Start Pathway. And once you click on Start Pathway, it'll start at the first step, which I believe is a video that I've put in for you. and you watch the video. And once you're finished watching the video, if you look on the right-hand side or somewhere on your screen, you should see something that says next. And you will keep going next until you have finished the pathway. But let me go back to the pathway so you can see everything that you have and just get you oriented with this a little bit more. So you can tell what each part is because in the corner it will tell you. So the first thing is the video. The second thing is text is something to read. The third thing is just an image that will help you and you can draw if you like. And then you have a series of simulations that you can do about transcription and translation and protein folding and mutations, which I will go over in our next session next week. And then you see one that says assignment. So assignment means that they're going to ask you questions that you need to answer in order to get credit. So those are the different types of items. So you have 3 assignments in this pathway. And I am able to check progress. I'm going to go back to my dashboard so that you guys can see. So on my end, I'm able to check progress of my students. So it'll have your names here because you guys would have signed in, and it'll tell me if you have started or not. And once you've started, it'll tell me how much you've done. And then it will tell me the amount of answers or the percentage you have correct on the questions. So basically that's your assignment. I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so that I can answer some questions.